Hello and welcome. My name's Dave, and sitting behind me just here are my Neumann KH120A active near field monitors, which I've had for a long time now, and I still absolutely love them. So I use these speakers for in the production of music and for mixing and for mastering, and I do all that in my little home studio here. I also use the speakers for listening to music. I love the sound of them. I love how accurate they are, and I thought I'd give them a little treat. So I've been looking at ways to improve the sound even further, coming out of the Neumanns, and for a two-way speaker, two-way front ported speaker, I think they're still the best in their price range. But what I do miss is that they do go quite low, but I do miss the super lows when I'm mixing, and sometimes I have to mix and master in headphones, you know, so I can hear that clarity. So I started on a journey of looking to upgrade the speakers, and the natural upgrade are the KH310s, I think they are, which are a three-way speaker. I've heard of a set of them and they sound absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, they're at my price range at the moment. And my dream speaker I've also heard, which is the Focal Trio 11BE. I would absolutely love a pair of those, but again, they're way out of my budget. And then looking at the Neumann stuff, I'd like to stay with Neumann if I can. Lo and behold, they actually do a subwoofer, which is the KH750 DSP, I think it's called. And not only that, but it comes with the MA1 room measurement software, and the measurement software automatically adjusts the sub and the speakers to your room, and hopefully it may correct some of the issues that I've got in this room. So that's the journey I'm on at the moment. I've actually ordered the sub. It's on its way. It'll take a few days, so you may see a change of t-shirts while I'm doing this video. But from what I can tell from the reviews that I've looked at, adding a sub to these 120s, the 750 sub, is just, it makes them even more spectacular than they already are. So while I wait for the sub to come, I've got a little bit of work to do in this room. Because the acoustic treatment isn't fantastic. It's lacking in places, with quite a lot of places. But to be honest, over the years, I've got used to how this room sounds. But now I'm going to add a sub into the mix. I do need to do something with this desk, because this desk is just one big box with an open front, and putting a sub down there, I'm sure that won't sound very good. So I think the sub does need the air around it. So I've ordered a new desk, which is going to come. And also I think I'll get my bass traps back out the loft and start putting the bass traps back in the corners, little things like that. Okay, so stick around. I'm going to do a little bit of work on this, but then we'll get into the unboxing and the install of the sub and the setup. And I'll show you all the graphs to show you how crap my room sounds at the moment, and then hopefully the digital sound processor within the sub can actually correct some of those issues. I'm also going to attempt to do a before and after. So I've already taken a reading of some music in my sweet spot, in my listening position here, on a Tascam recorder. I've not used one of them before. I think I've set it up right, but maybe not. So I have took a reading as the room is now. I haven't tidied up, I haven't done anything. This is how I use the room. So I just plonked it here in my listening position, set the levels, and recorded it, and off it went. And I'll do exactly the same position, exactly the same sound levels, etc. when I get the sub in here, so we can see if there's any difference. Now I must point out that I have listened to the Tascam audio back, and to be completely honest with you, what I'm listening to doesn't sound the same as what I hear in real life here. So I'm not sure if that's something I've done wrong with the Tascam, the way I've set it up. But yeah, just want to point that out. What comes through on that Tascam is not really that accurate in my opinion. But I've done the listening demo anyway, and I'll show that later on in the video. Okay. So let's have a look what I'm working with here. So you can see my KH120As are sitting on bespoke stands that I built myself. Video is in the description, so you can head along and have a look at that if you want to. The stands themselves, they perform exceptionally well, better than the stands that I bought, you know, the shop bought stands that I got. And these stands actually pass through the desk, and they don't touch the desk at all. So the stems there, they don't touch the desk. There's 5mm clearance all the way around. You can see that in the video. I'll put the link in the description. So the speakers themselves are isolated very well from the desk. On the bottom of the stands, you probably won't see that, but we've got spikes down there. And the floor is just carpet tile with concrete flooring underneath it. And for the acoustic treatment in this room, so at the back here, behind the monitor, the reason I did that, by the way, is because I wanted the speakers to be in front of the screen. So that's the reason I did that. I didn't want to put the speakers behind there. So behind the monitor, we've got my blackout curtains, which are extremely thick. They do a good job of absorbing some of the rear reflections and obviously the noise from the road. And then stepping back here into my little sweet spot that I've created, I got my little cloud set up here. So again, there's a video on my channel, which I'll link down below, as how I built these. But I've got a little cloud set up there with some acoustic material. And I also built my first reflection panels, which are on the side walls here, measured from the speakers. And pretty much this room, that's all I've got for acoustic treatment. So I used to have bass traps and all kinds of stuff in here, but I found that I didn't really use them because I was only monitoring at low level. Forgive the lamp, I've put that there so you can actually see. But at the back of the room there, the room's divided into half. I do work over there for my day job, and over here is all the creative stuff. So in the corner over there, I've got an old upturned bed settee that used to be down and in here, but since we've been working from home, I've upturned that in the corner. That does well at absorbing bass over there. There's nothing over in that corner. But that's pretty much it for acoustic treatment in this room. I've found that I've got used to my little sweet spot here and got used to how the speakers are sounding. But obviously, if I'm going to introduce a sub into this system, I may need to treat the room a little bit better. So I have got bass traps in the loft. I may get them down and put them back in the corners here. But the other issue that I'm trying to get over is this desk. So this desk I built myself. I think it was a fair few years ago now, but again, there's a video on my channel how I built that desk. But obviously enclosing a sub down there underneath the desk, I don't think the sub's going to sound very good at all. I think it needs, you know, the air around it. So what I'm going to do is take that desk out and replace it with a store-bought desk with just 4 legs on it, so I can have some air and space around the sub. So that desk's got to go and be replaced with just a regular open back and side desk. But I've obviously bought it to incorporate the keyboard under there, which I slide in and out. If I'm doing vocals, I move the vocal setup here into my little sweet spot, and I can get some very, very clear vocals in this room. There is no noise in this room at all. I think I've already ballsed up. Well, have I ballsed up or have I been missold? I'll let you decide. So my desk that I wanted to pass my speaker stands through, so drill a big hole either side. It said on the listing, it said 2.5 inch thick engineered wooden top. Well, this wooden top, yes, it's 2.5 inches thick, but it's completely hollow. So I'm not going to be able to drill a hole through that. I'll have to put the speakers behind for now, but also because it's hollow, it's going to resonate, so that's not good at all. What I might do is keep the legs and the supports and put an MDF top on that, a really thick MDF top, and get it all nice and painted. But there you go. My fault or the seller's fault? I'll let you decide. See, that's proper screwed me, that has. Not being able to pass the stands through the desk, because it means now the speakers are slightly behind the monitor, which I absolutely wanted to avoid. And also I can't push the desk back any further than that. So the desk is a good 6 inches off the wall at the minute, which makes it really difficult to get to the window. I'm also not sure where the subwoofer should go, because the bottoms of the stands are pretty chunky to carry all that weight. And I don't really want to put it in a corner, so has it got to go slightly off centre to the left maybe? Don't want to put it over there because that's all boxing in, that is. Over here is solid wall. So yeah, that's something else I've got to figure out. So, would you Adam and Eve it? It turns out that I've got to wait quite a while for my subwoofer. So this is actually a month on from when I originally ordered the subwoofer from a music shop in the UK. And I don't want you to get me wrong, the music shop, which is this shop, have been absolutely fantastic. It would seem though that we're all bound by Neumann's new manufacturing line. I think they're owned by Sennheiser now. But it seems they make things in batches. So if they're doing headphones this week, then they'll make a load of run, you know, a big batch of those. If they're doing some, you know, microphones, they'll do a batch of them. Unfortunately, we have to wait until Neumann get to making these subwoofers, which is a bit weird. That's a bit different. So when I bought the KH120s, I ordered them from a music shop and they came direct from Berlin a couple of days later. It was brilliant, but it would seem like the manufacturing process has changed. So the music shop's been brilliant. And one thing, top tip from Dave here, if you're looking for one of these, is to shop around. So all of the results I got on Google when I was looking for a KH750 were nearly 400 quid more than the actual price that I found with these guys. And these guys, for some reason, didn't come up in the results. I had to search for music shops and things like that. But they're a brilliant shop, really nice people. I've been talking to them as well. They've been keeping me updated, etc. But yeah, shop around, because 400 quid's a lot of money, isn't it? So anyway, subwoofer should be here in a couple of days. I think it's coming Thursday. It's Monday today, so it's took over a month to actually get it here if it arrives. One thing I do want to tell you is that in this month that I've had a long time to think about this, and now I'm all set up here with the speakers behind the monitor and at the back of the desk. They don't go through the desk anymore, the stands. And I've got my little bass traps in here, which are not brilliant, but they will make a difference. I've been playing music in here now for nearly a month, and I'm going to be brutally honest with you, it sounds absolutely terrible. The difference is unbelievable. I've got so used to the way this room sounded. The minute I make a little tweak like that, well, a little tweak, it's actually quite a big difference. The sound is just terrible. The only thing I like about it is the wider stereo image, which is fantastic. But for the rest of it, because of this hollow desktop and the fact that I've had to put the speakers behind the monitor now and a bit further back and closer to the wall as well, it just sounds horrible. And I couldn't mix, master, all that kind of stuff. I can barely listen to music with it. It's that bad. I like to analyze music, so when I'm listening to music, I'm pretty analytical. I like to listen to detail. With this setup, it's terrible. So for the first time, I found myself turning the bass and the mid-range down on these Neumanns because it was just awash with mids in here. And I think that's... Oh, and I'm not making this up. Alls I can hear is the bloody desktop just resonating, just collecting all that bass and the lower mids. And oh, it's horrible. It really is horrible. So I made the right decision. So instead of me buying an MDF board and cutting it and painting it and all that and drilling the holes through for the stands, I've actually found these guys in the UK, and I went on their website, I put in the dimensions of this desktop, and I told the website that I wanted it cut into 25mm MDF. And it asked me if I wanted it to be coated or painted, so I chose melamine, I think it is, which is a pretty well, it sort of matches what's on this desk. So I've tried to match it as close as possible, but I put all the measurements in on the site, chose 25mm, chose my edgings and coverings, and they even asked me if I wanted to cut any holes out, but I told it I would do that, so I didn't want any of that. And I've ordered it, and it's coming tomorrow. So with a bit of luck, tomorrow I'll have a new desktop that I can drill my big holes in to put my speaker stands through where they should be, and also do a few modifications to the not the legs on the desk, but there's a support at the back of the desk, a metal bar that goes at the back, but it's too low and I won't be able to put the subwoofer underneath it. So I'm going to raise that up a bit and bolt it back in, put the new desktop on, drill my holes, put the stands through the desktop, and then I should be back to a similar setup that I had before, if not exactly the same. I know that MDF desktop will make a massive difference. Okay, so it's these guys where I got the subwoofer from, and it's these guys where I got the MDF tabletop from. I'm really looking forward to getting that. Okay, I'm going to try and show you what I mean by a difference in the sound. So to me, it sounds awful at the moment, but I did take a Tascam recording of the sound before I messed about with the room, and I also took one when it was like this, so when I've updated it. Like I said, the Tascam's it's not really what I'm hearing, but you may be able to hear the difference yourself between the two recordings, so I'll put them next actually. All right, so the next time I speak to you after these recordings will be to put the desktop on and sort the stands out, and then in a couple of days I'll get the subwoofer and we'll go through that. So apologies for these longer form videos, but in the past a lot of people seem to prefer these longer form videos than the short ones that don't give any detail. So I do apologize if some of you are like, just get on with it. Just skip it, you know what I mean, just hit that forward button. But for those who like the long form videos, then this is probably for you, and I hope it helps you out. All right, so let's get on with the sound test. You tell me what you think, and I'll see you in a bit. Oh, just very quickly before I do that, my friend, he lent me the Tascam recorder, and because he lent me the Tascam audio recorder, he wanted me to say that this video was sponsored by him. So this video is sponsored by Moist Decoy, and if you want to go and check out his awesome motorbike channel, you can find him on YouTube at Moist Decoy. He's also got a pretty wild OnlyFans, I've been told, so go check that out as well. I haven't done that, and I would suggest that you don't either. All right, let's get on with it.
Your pretty face, it haunts me. It creeps upon me most when I'm asleep in my dreams.
on my tabletop com, and it's immaculate. It come well packaged, so hit these guys up if you need any MDF for whatever projects you're doing. This has just took me all night to reconfigure. So as I said, I wanted my speaker stands to go through the desk. So what I've done, oh man, I'm getting too old for this, like Danny Glover. The measurements I've had to do is just insane. I've had to check it like 100 million times. So this bar here was too low, so I've had to drill through metal, measure up and make it higher so that the subwoofer can go underneath that. So that should be good. And then I got myself a hole saw, a hole cutter, whatever you want to call it, and I cut some big holes through here, put my stands through, and then you can just buy these inserts. You know, these inserts you get for putting wires down when you're, you know, at work, if you see them on a desk. If you get one of them, you can take the top off and just use the ring. So there's a 5mm gap all around that, so the stands don't touch the desk at all, and I shouldn't get too much resonance with this new top because it's solid. So I thought I'd show you that before I put it all away again. Man, it's practically killed me doing that. So that's it. I'm going to bring all my stuff in now, get the tops on the speaker stands, etc., bring the computer in and the keyboard again. Then I'm going to tidy up, and my subwoofer should be here in a couple of days. All right, catch you in a bit. Boom. There you go. All done. And it was worth it. So my speakers are now going through the desk fine. Everything's back how it was. I've got the sides back, all open, ready for the subwoofer. So bar the cabling, I've got to sort the cabling out and tidy that up somehow, which I'll probably do another day. I am ready to rock. It sounds the same now as it did before, in fact a little better because of the bass traps. So at this point I'm extremely happy, and it was well worth doing that exercise with the desk. And guess what's just arrived? Boom. So finally, all the way from Berlin has come my little 750 subwoofer, and there's the little, I'm assuming that's the mic. So these two little boxes, well, big boxes, came in a massive box which I can't fit in here. I've had to take this box out of that big box, and this was sort of loose in there as well. I've only took the staples off, I haven't got anything else. So let's get unboxing this Neumann KH750 DSP. So I'm going to do this the best way I can given the space that I've got, so you'll have to forgive me here. This is real world, guys, eh? So in the box, from what I can see, we've got some little feet to put on the bottom with sticky pads, which is good. There's 4 of them. There's the UK plug there, obviously the best plug in the world. Don't need that one, that looks rubbish. And don't need this one either, probably a US one. So they've wasted a bit of money there, but there you go. And we also get the little user guide there, pamphlet, and the startup, what's that? Yeah, that's the startup quick guide, which is great. All right, so let's struggle and get this out the box and put it on the floor. Now that is a sight to behold. I'll get it up on the desk so you can have a look. What a beauty. So I'm not going to put it on my desk, it's an absolute dead weight, and I'm not going to ruin the top coat on the desk there. So I'll put it on my chair. Man, that was a heavy piece of kit. So there it is, guys. Not a lot to say about the front really, just a big ass speaker. This, I have a feeling that is just a sticker, which is not good, because on the 120s that I've got, it's actually a status light, so it lights up when you turn them on and they go red when they're clipping. so you know to turn it down. This doesn't look like it has that on the front, which is a bloody shame. That's cheapening out in my book. Also, the cabinet, I think it's wooden, whereas I'm pretty sure these 120s are aluminium, but I stand to be corrected on that. There you go. Let me just turn the thing round for you. So let's have a look at this together, shall we? So base management, active, auto standby. There's your power. Control mode, local and network. So mine will be on network when I set it up with the MA1, and I'll plug it into the local network here. We've got the phase here, subwoofer gain, which is on full at the moment. Digital inputs and outputs. I'm going to be using the analog inputs and outputs. We've got the ground lift here, low cut. I'm assuming all of these settings apart from the network one I won't use because it'll do a measurement of the room and then auto setup. But we'll see as we go through. One thing that really annoys me about all the technology these days is, and I'm sure you guys have the same, is they put the power button on the back of all of this stuff. So I'm constantly having to reach around the back of the KH120s to turn them off and on. I'll have to do this as well, but also on my knees under the desk, which is a pain in the butt. My Mac also has a button on the back, the Mac Studio, and it's like one of them invisible buttons you have to sort of reach and try and find. Everything's got buttons on the back, absolute pain in the butt. This is going to be no exception. It will be absolutely, this will be worse because I've got to actually crawl down under there to get down to turn it off. There's no way I'm going to leave this stuff on, so even with the auto on and off thing that it's got feature. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get it sighted down there and see if it fits, put the feet on it, and we'll get on with the setup. Right, I think I've got it. So I've connected my SSL outputs to the inputs of the subwoofer, and then the outputs of the subwoofer to my KH120s. So the SSL is now connected to the subwoofer, which is connected to the speakers, all analogs. It's good I haven't got any digital connections on that SSL. And then I've connected the MA1 microphone to the microphone input on my SSL, and it's working. Look, and I've downloaded the app. I've added my sub. It asked me to put the serial number in, so I did that. Plugged it into the network. It asked if it could go and find it, and I said yes. It found the sub and started blinking the flashy light on the back. I haven't touched any of the settings on the back apart from setting it to network mode. So it's connected up to the network. My Mac's connected up Wi-Fi to the network, so that's how they're communicating, same network. And it's asked me what loudspeakers I've got. I've put KH120s in. I've played a test signal through both of them, so that's worked. No test signal through the sub though, it doesn't give you that option. I've saved my setup, and now I'm ready to press save and align. So let's see what happens, eh? Okay, it's just asked me to confirm the switch settings on the back of my 120s, which I've just done, and also how I've connected up the sub. Right, I've got to set my output level somehow. I'm just going to rattle through it. I'm literally just following the instructions on the screen. So if you get one of these, you can either do what I'm doing, follow the instructions, or I'm sure there's there are a million videos online on how to do this. It doesn't look too hard, so I'm just going to keep clicking through it. Well, that's good. You can specify how long it takes for the test signals to start playing, so you can get out of the room. So I'll do that as 10 seconds. So I'm no expert at this stuff, but this graph does paint a picture, doesn't it? So I'm assuming the non-aligned system lines, so the dotted lines are before it applied its signal processing. You can see that the mids are all over the place there. Big boost there between, what's that, about 150 all the way up to 400. It's all over the place there, isn't it? This is the characteristics of the room. So massive dip at 100, and then going down into the, below 50, there's a huge spike going up to probably, 10 decibels at 30, 40. And that's why it sounded so boomy and boxy in here. It's clear to see by the graph. But if you look at the aligned system, I mean, it's pretty flat, isn't it? After, 400? It's not too bad after that. But if you look at the aligned system after it's done all its, processing, evaluation and all that kind of stuff, it's actually got it pretty flat, but it's also kept the characteristics of the room. So it's left a little boost in there below 100. And the orange line is obviously the target. That's pretty good, actually. I knew the room sounded bad before. It should sound pretty good now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple of tunes on here, an A-B switch for you, so you can hear what it was like, what the room and the speakers were like originally when before I started doing anything, and now after everything's been done. So I just want to give a big shout out here to my daughter, who's lent me 2 of her songs to show in this vid. So thanks, Amber. Let's get on with it.
Your pretty face, it haunts me. It creeps upon me most when I'm asleep in my dreams. I don't know why you won't put me through it. You dug my grave and you buried me when you left your new way. I went in with my eyes wide shut and walked through it. 'Cause you're breaking my heart and I'm trying to stop chasing your constellations in the stars, but this is just too hard when the last thing I know how to do is be apart. Thought I knew who you were, but I can't tell if the person you are now is you or a shell. One thing I do know is you're putting me through hell. Now we're parallel. Hear your voice, it echoes next to my heartbeat. Your shadow dances behind me when I'm walking in the street. This is not like me, we weren't meant to be. Yet I still hear you talking every time I speak. You rubbed off on me, I feel your personality coming out of me whenever I feel weak. This is just too much for me. This is all too much for me. I find it harder and harder to bleed, 'cause you meant so much to me. Now you're breaking my heart and I'm trying to stop chasing your constellations in the stars, but this is just too hard when the last thing I know how to do is be apart. I thought I knew who you were, but I can't tell if the person you are now is you or a shell. One thing I do know is you're putting me through hell. Now we're parallel. Now you're breaking my heart and I'm trying to stop chasing your constellations in the stars, but
So what's my verdict then? Well, firstly, I just want to say thanks to my daughter again, Louise, for letting me use her 2 tunes. Both of those tunes were mixed in this room. The first one, however, was professionally mastered off-site by a professional mastering engineer, and it's been released and you can find it on all of the platforms. The second one is work in progress, so that was just a rough mix. I thought it would give a good, sort of a before and after thing, mainly for me. So thanks very much to my daughter for letting me use those tracks. If you want to check her out, if you go on any of the streaming platforms and just search for Amber Louise, you'll find her on there. YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, music, all that kind of stuff. You'll find her stuff on there. It'd be great actually if you would go and support her. That would help her out massively. So as for my verdict then, so I did a fair few things to this room, as you saw. So the first thing I did was I opened up the space between the 2 KH120 speakers. They was quite close together. They're now at 104 centimeters, and I adjusted my listening position to suit, so I'm 104 centimeters away from the speakers when I'm listening. That made such a big difference. The stereo field obviously opened up, but it was a massive positive. As soon as I did that, I just couldn't stop listening to music again. It was just unreal, the difference that made. So if your speakers are quite close together, you might still be in your triangle. If you just open those up a little bit, my God, it made a hell of a difference. So I'm glad I did that. The second thing that I did was I put these little bass traps in. They're not the best in the world. They're just really dense, thick foam. They sort of work okay, but what they did do was they stopped some of the rumble in the room that I used to get, that I was really used to. And then I sort of missed it when it wasn't here or wasn't here as much. So they did work. Unfortunately, I can't get any at the back of the room because the door's in the way, and I can't get any up there because there's all boxing in and a cupboard and stuff. But for what they are, they did make a difference. Brilliant. Putting that MDF top on and putting the speakers in front of the screen, that's night and day. So speakers behind the screen, terrible. Speakers slightly in front of the screen, fantastic. That's a great top tip from me. Real world here. So the difference between the two, I think I showed it in an earlier segment, an A/B test. You can clearly hear the difference. That was a big plus. And then we get onto the subwoofer. So I'm still trying to get my head around this. I've only had 2 days to listen to stuff, and I've listened to a lot of music. So here's a list of songs that I always go to when I want to test a system out. Quite a weird mix there, but trust me, there's reasoning behind that. So I'll list a few tracks up here, which you can use if you want to reference them on your system. I know those tunes extremely well, so I can tell when things are off or on, or whether it's good or bad, all that kind of stuff. But like I said, it's the weirdest thing for me. So I've never had a subwoofer before. Using that MA1 software to alter the DSP on the subwoofer, and subsequently the signal that it sends to my analog KH120s, was just mind-blowing. So 10-20 years ago, you'd have to have someone come round and fiddle with the settings on the back of a sub if you wanted to do it professionally, maybe treat your room better, blah 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 blah. Literally a few clicks. It took me half an hour, and I did it twice in the end. It was done, and I went with what the MA1 software told me it should be. I didn't alter any settings after that. I was A/B testing after it had done that calculation. The difference was mind-boggling, and it was hard to comprehend at the time, so I just accepted it, and then I started listening to music. What's happened is the weirdest thing, and I can't get my head around this. It's going to take me a while. So I've heard that you've set your subwoofer up right if you can't perceive that the bass is coming from down there. So you know in your head that the sub bass is being produced at that subwoofer. But apparently if you've set it up correctly, you shouldn't be able to perceive it from down there. And that is 100% correct. So I've been sitting here all confused thinking, what the hell? Because when I'm listening to music now, or I did a little mix as well, I was messing around with one of the mixes I was doing, the bass, the sub bass was coming from directly. It sounded like it was still coming out the speakers. It's the weirdest thing. And a few times I put my foot on the subwoofer just to make sure that it was actually on and doing its thing. And it was rocking down. I could tell you now, it was rocking down there. But my perception was that it was coming. And I know bass goes off in all directions, so it shouldn't matter, you know, within reason where the subwoofer is. I could perceive it directly in front of me, and I can't get my head around that. So it's going to take me a while to get my head around that. But that is mega, absolutely mega. You can tell from the A/B tests, and I can tell sitting here, that what it's done, it's really cleaned the bass up. The rumble in the room has gone completely. I used to have a build-up of bass over there at the back of the room. I don't get that anymore. And the rumble, the low rumble that I used to get, that I was used to, I actually missed it because it was gone. That's why I had to keep checking the subwoofer. Is it on? Is it on? But also the subwoofer's not overpowered, so it's not what you think. So when you're listening to a sub in, you know, a concert, and you can feel it, and this sub, it's not really what you think. So the bass that's coming out the sub when you crank it up is tremendous. It really is tremendous, but it's so clean. It's hard to comprehend. It's fantastic. It is so clean. It's spectacular difference. Turning this system into a three-way now is it's blown my mind. What else the sub has done is now these KH120s are not having to cope with those, you know, low frequencies. They're sort of having a rest, and they're able to concentrate more on the mids and the highs. It's practically made them holographic, and I'm not making that up. It just sounds amazing. And the way I tried that, so what made me think like that was I went into a mix which I've been messing around with, and this mix has got loads of vocal processing on, loads of reverbs, all that kind of stuff that you have in a mix. And I'm going to find it really hard to explain this. I'll try. I was able to follow a reverb amongst everything else that was going on. I could follow a reverb through the track, reach back into the track and mess with that reverb, you know, change the tone, EQ it, knock the volume down a little bit more and tighten it up until it was absolutely perfect. And I didn't solo that track out. I was doing that while I was listening to the rest of the track. And I couldn't do that before that well. I thought I'd done it, but as soon as I put that mix on the new setup, it highlighted loads of problems that I needed to go in and fix in a mix that I've been working on. That's what I'm trying to say. And levels as well. I'd got my levels out a little bit, and so I was messing with levels. And the mix that I got, I actually I bounced it, put it on a card, and I went and played it in the front room, and I went and played it in the car just for shits and giggles. It sounded brilliant, so it transferred really well. So what it's done to these speakers and how I can listen to these speakers, it's just amazing. It really is. So if you've got the KH80s, the 120 Mark IIs I think are out now, the 150s, the 310s. I don't know if you need a sub with the 310s, because the 310s are pretty good, aren't they? But if you want to add this Neumann sub to any of those, I'd say it's money well spent. If you like music as much as I do, then definitely it's money well spent. So thanks very much for East to Eastwood Sound and Vision for selling me the speaker. I know I had to wait for it, but that wasn't their fault. And like I say, top tip, shop around if you're going to buy one of these, because 300 or 400 quid difference is a huge sum of money. And also my cut for sorting out my desktop there. And of course Moist Decoy for lending me his little Tascam. Do you know, I might tie it up somewhere, take a picture of it and send him the picture for ransom. See if I can get some chocolate chip cookies out of him or something. But yeah, thanks Moist Decoy for lending me that. I couldn't have done the A/B test without that. But most of all, I want to thank you guys for watching. So I know this is a long video, probably too much detail for a lot of you, so just skippity skip. I'm sure you was doing that, no problem with that at all. But I hope you enjoyed it. And again, thanks very much for watching, and I will see you in the next vid. All right, I'm gonna listen to this for, I've got work tomorrow, so on the nights I'm going to be listening to this. But it's hard to give an absolute verdict when I've only just set it up and press play sort of thing. So it's the same as buying my motorbike. I bought the motorbike. Within 2 weeks I did a review on it, and I was on Mars. You know, it was the most amazing thing on the planet. And so the review I did, my initial review was, it was spectacular. After owning it for a year, I did another review on it, and there's lots of niggles about the bike that weren't apparent at the start, that have sort of crept up over the year. So the review I did after a year, the bike is still spectacular, but it was a bit more of a balanced review. So I think it's going to take me a couple of months at least to get used to these and to do some mixes to actually do a proper review. Now I've added the subwoofer, but as I sit here today, my God, it sounds spectacular. All right, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.